If you thought that the testimony of the ex-wife was bad, whew, just wait till you see the interrogation footage of Nick Kassotis. Here's what we're talking about today. Now, what do we know about Nick Kassotis? Well, the first thing we know is he graduated from law school, and one of his first jobs was as a judge advocate general, an officer in the JAG Corps in the Navy. He did that for 10 years. He left the Navy as a lieutenant commander, which is a pretty decent rank for somebody who served for that period of time. It's inferable that because he did prosecute cases in the Navy, that he understands how a prosecution is put together and he understands how an interrogation is conducted. And he's probably seen videotapes and probably even used videotapes in the prosecution of people in the Navy for crimes that they committed while they were in the service. So it's a little hard to understand his behavior because having the situation where the authorities have landed on him with both feet and said, "Come on in, it's time for a, chat about what happened." The only appropriate thing based on his legal training would be to say lawyer, not saying anything without a lawyer. Lawyer. And the old ruse about, well, you don't have anything to hide, it'd be like, lawyer. I want a lawyer. End of discussion. And then you don't say anything until such time that you've had an opportunity to meet and talk with your lawyer. And then, even then, you may not say anything because it may not be in your best interest. Why would you want to help somebody who's trying to put you in prison for the rest of your life? So I fundamentally do not understand why, in the first place, he ever talked to the police. But that's exactly what he did. He walked right into that room, put his head down on the chopping blocks, and said, "Hey, make sure the axe is sharp." So, among the first and dumbest things that he did, other than just talking to the police, was signing a Miranda waiver.
I'll read them at first, naturally. Would you want me to sign it? Yes, just sign it. Okay.
And then he started trying to answer questions. And none of these answers are going to make any sense.
I don't think Jim was telling me the truth about anything.
Does he did exist?
He did exist, sir. We did everything for years.
Remember the day when your father shows up?
Yes, sir.
With your own shit?
Yes, sir.
Tell me you left the back door.
Yes,
not the back door.
Yes, sir.
So you leave, you're so afraid because you thought he could be.
Yes, sir.
Where was Mindi?
She said there. He hadn't seen her.
So you cared so much for her, you left her in the house when you were running out the back door.
No, sir. She knew I was leaving.
But you didn't stay there to protect her.
No, sir.
But you didn't call 911. You didn't call for any help from anyone.
No.
You walked down the alley.
We called for help for Jim, who we depended on for everything.
Explain that. Just the other day you said you did call, but he found you. He found you in the parking lot at the hospital.
Yeah, we had I forget if it was a phone call or if it was a message, but I didn't.
That question was asked very clearly and asked twice. Did you contact Jim that day? And you said no. He picked me up in the parking lot. Absolutely, there was no messaging from the time you walked out the back door down.
We did not understand the question.
Okay.
You didn't just like no.
The question is, how did he know where you were? And he just appeared out of nowhere. He's followed you in multiple states, and he just appears. So, are you alleging that Jim killed your wife?
I don't know, but I think it's possible.
Okay.
I have to apologize. The audio isn't good in any police interrogation room, but it's even worse when they try to play it onto speakers and then the microphones from the streaming service pick up that audio, so it's doubly adulterated in terms of quality. And I know that makes it hard to follow, but basically, the first questions they ask are about this guy by the name of Jim McIntyre. And I don't think they've actually laid out the foundation for who Jim is at this point. But generally speaking, they are trying to get him to admit that this whole thing about maybe Jim McIntyre being the real killer is not true. And as you can see, that's pretty easy to see where they're going when you listen to their questions and his answers. Given that, at this point, if he had been smart, he would have just shut up. But he thinks he can talk his way out of this particular situation. And it's pretty clear that, particularly at the end of this interview, that he just can't do that because there's really no answers for any of the things that he's saying. And he doesn't have any evidence to back any of it up. But listen.
You did not hear.
I did not.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And you know about the preponderance of evidence?
Yes.
Very well.
Yes.
We're at way beyond the preponderance of evidence. Okay. We talked about this.
Yes, sir. I told you right first.
Okay. You remember that building?
No, sir. Okay, sir.
You remember it went down that route, down that dirt road?
A little, I don't know, sir. I'm not sure what I did.
Nick, would you love Mindi?
Yes, sir.
Would you love her parents?
Yes, sir.
Right, that's it.
Yes, sir.
You want to help us put all this together?
Yes, sir. We're gonna.
We need you to be truthful with us.
Sir, yeah.
You know that.
Sir, yes, I am.
Your phone, your car's phone, the videos. I mean, who else has the look of going on a 25,000 acre property and being captured on video? The 45 minutes that you spent there at one location with the tubs.
That's right.
Your DNA.
Sir, I did not hurt my wife.
Did you dispose of it?
No, sir.
You did.
No, sir.
And all evidence is showing that.
Sir,
And your elaborate 2 hours of story that you gave in Pennsylvania, you know how many items you, being an attorney, you should realize how many of those can be disproven.
Sir, I have not lied to you at all.
You've been living like web lies for a long time.
No, sir.
That's when your finances, when Jim McIntyre, all these people from Microsoft stuff.
I think Jim has lied to me for a long time. I do believe that.
I don't believe Jim exists.
Sir, Jim absolutely exists. I don't know if that's his real name, but he absolutely exists. I mean, the things that we did for years, the places we went,
You did to get away from the judgment from Hitler.
no, sir.
So you didn't know you were wanted and on the run from Hitler and the judgment, the civil judgment.
No, sir. Jim told me that I'd been taken care of.
How did Jim take care of that?
I don't know, sir.
You didn't feel a responsibility to pick up the phone and say,
Now, again, the audio is bad, but essentially they're confronting him with all of these lies about Jim McIntyre, lies about what he did in the woods with the buckets and the pins and that sort of thing, and he's just denying everything. He's not really giving them anything to work with. He's just denying everything. And that's not a particularly good strategy if your back is against the wall. The best strategy in that situation is just to shut your mouth. And he's a lawyer. He knows this, but there is something driving him. And I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what's driving him to do this, but clearly he has some compulsion to talk to these investigators and see if he can convince them that he's just pure as the driven snow. I think for people like Nick, people who have his peculiar pathology, whatever it is, they enjoy, I guess I would call it the thrill of the hunt. They enjoy that ability to manipulate people. And in this case, for example, he bought the ex-wife an entirely new set of tires, dropped $700 on her, and she was sort of blown away by that. And he said he had the money to spend and he liked her, so he did it. And I think he was one of those people who just has to captivate people, and he's very good at spinning his yarns. Uh, Not very good at telling the truth, but very good at spinning yarns that people will instantly buy into. They develop some kind of a sympathy for him, and particularly a certain kind of woman wants to take care of him, to sort of nurse him back to, health or whatever it is. So, he's lost his wife, he lost his unborn child. That was the story that he told the lady that he married up in Pennsylvania. And the whole purpose behind all of that is, again, just to experience this ha ha, I have manipulated you. And I'm sure, she's probably thinking, whew, boy, did I ever dodge a bullet? That could have been me in a tub next time. The whole point of this sort of serial, I guess you'd call it serial monogamy, but not really, because he's philandering at the same time that he's, trying to seduce the woman in Pennsylvania. He's planning on killing the woman in Georgia so that he can be free to marry the woman in Pennsylvania without committing bigamy. So, well, I got a great idea. In order to avoid a charge of bigamy, why don't I get a charge of first-degree murder? That there is something so wrong with his thinking pattern, with his ability to process information and adjust to it, that in some respects, I have some compassion for him as far as having a mental health problem, but not enough compassion to excuse what he did here, if indeed he did this. And it certainly is looking like he did, because you have to think about how many people would have to be involved to set him up in a frame like this. And it would have to be quite a few people, uh, I would think. At any rate, it didn't get much better through the rest of his testimony.
You never carried her to the doctor. She never went to the doctor. You never went to the
The
doctor.
doctor didn't come by your house to do those checks.
Yes, you came directly from that house to that location. It's very clear. From your house to Home Depot to the scene. There are multiple scenes, I guess we would say. Those stops are recorded, captured by your car. They're actually corroborated by your cell phone that you say is turned off. But apparently your particular phone still records and still sends out pings or messages that overlap with that. So the big question is, were you asked to go to a location and retrieve Mindy's body? Or did you kill her and transport her? Or did something happen in that house that you just can't talk about and then you dealt with it from there? Because it clearly started at that house. Then it went on.
Sir, no, none of this happened.
Okay. We know what happened. It's clear that it happened. So you're saying that the cell record's wrong, the picture's wrong from the security cameras, everybody's wrong with this whole picture. Your purchase of walk-in from Home Depot, that purchase is wrong.
No, sir.
Your travels that day, all that's all. It just so happens coincidentally she's found at the location you were at.
Your wife found when you went.
Sir, it doesn't feel coincidental to me, but I never heard Mindy. I never saw Mindy after she passed away.
So the investigator clearly has a point here. The cell records are wrong. The Home Depot footage is wrong. The information picked up from your car is wrong. That information, which is corroborated by your cell phone data, that's wrong. none of this happened. Is that what you're saying? And he says, yeah, I never hurt Mindy. And given what they have, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever for him to have essentially had this happen to him, that someone abducted his wife and uh, did that to her, and then uh, made it all look like he did it. There is no way you could set up a chain of coincidences in that manner, at least not in my mind, that would work out the way he thinks it works out, or at least that he asserts that it thinks out. The other thing I want you to notice is how different he looks today sitting in the courtroom versus how he looked in that interview room. Because clearly in that interview room, he looked disheveled, he looked stressed, he looked unable to focus. I strongly suspect there is some diagnosable mental condition that he has that he doesn't want to admit, and that he probably doesn't want treatment for because he likes being the way that he is. But again, that's me playing armchair quarterback, or armchair psychologist, I guess would be a better way to put it. And I really don't have any training in that other than having watched people lie for the last 30 years of my life. I think I'm pretty good at spotting somebody who isn't telling the truth, and none of what he's saying has the ring of truth. Now, I could be wrong, and the jury might very well find that I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here today. If you have the opportunity today, try to do one kind thing to help somebody else. Any kind thing will do. Buy somebody a Coke, get them a cup of coffee, anything that makes their day better. That would be a way to help make the world a better place. Because after all, isn't that what we're all after? Now, YouTube has a few things that they think you might be interested in, and they're going to be showing you that right up there.